Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Okay. So we finished up to verse 17, and we're going to start the next two verses. 18 and 19 go together. But I thought periodically it's a good idea to summarize a little bit also, and since it's been 2 weeks since we met, to freshen up few of the verses from before. And there's also, then we know the connection that because sometimes Bhagavad Gita is so much material that if we just focus on individual verses, we might forget the connection. So all that we have to periodically keep doing it. So just a brief summary of about 5-6 verses before that came, and connecting it to previous chapters also. So what Bhagavan said was in this chapter that a very simple path to attain the highest or Bhagavan or self-realization is to realize our own nature. And to do that, we need to constantly remember the divinity. And then we will become free from bondage of thoughts. So it's our mind that is culprit. So in chapter 6, Bhagavan has said that how mind is itself the cause of bondage, and mind is also can help us to become free of bondage. So it's a two-way street with the mind. And I remember one time, we use the analogy of like a doorknob. Mind is like a doorknob. You can go out or go in. It's the same. And we also know that anything very powerful can go either way. So we have to, make sure that we manage our mind correctly. Because there was this famous verse, mana evam manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. So mind itself causes the bondage. So just connecting that to this. And so Nikhilananji was kind of joking that he was saying that some people might say that if mind is such a problem, then ye mind hi nahi hota to acha hota. But then he said we would have become like a stone then if we don't have a mind. So mind is also very important, So what he was saying is that even though mind causes bondage, so we have to take the help of the mind to become free of bondage. So how do we do that? So Krishna Bhagavan had mentioned that how this Prakriti have the three gunas, the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So what happens is that the Tamas and Rajas gunas, when they become predominant, they are the one who bind us. So, and Sattvic mind, it releases us from bondage. So that's what we have to do. And what is the reason why that happens with those two, tamas and rajas guna? Because their mind gets attached to objects and things and the world and pleasure and my goals, and then we feel very, very bound. So that is a process that happens. But when we become free of attachment, then we become free. So what is the easiest way to become free? So Bhagavan gave a remedy. Constantly remember me and do your kartavya karma, your duty. So we went in very much detail what this actually means, constantly remember it. It doesn't mean I just sit and do bhajan or meditation all day. No, that's not what it means. It means be aware of that, Bhagwan or the substratum. That's what it means. And we went in detail about it. So what Bhagavan said, the one who with single pointed mind remembers me constantly for a long period of time, throughout his life, for that kind of person, I become very sulabh. There was verse 14 we did. Tasyaham sulabha partha. For him, I become easily attainable, because not that difficult, but the condition he gave. And he said that what's the advantage of attaining me, means उसमें क्या मिलेगा मुझे, I become free from sansar, and because what he said in verse 15 is sansar is like a dukhalay and ashashvatam, two words he used. It's full of sorrow, pain, trouble, fear, jealousy, anger, all those things are there in the world, and it is temporary. Ashashvatam meaning temporary. And then Nikhilananji was saying that how, it's not only that human beings suffer from these problems, but even the animals and birds constantly live in fear. उनको तो बेचारा ज़्यादा होता है, उनको तो ह्यूमन से भी डर लगता है. because they have a constant fear of predators. You don't know who's going to make you the next meal. So, this is across the board, this dukkhala and ashashvatam. And then it's not that you don't get pleasure in the world, but you get little pleasure, but you live in fear. And, so what is the conclusion? This world is full of sorrow and it's temporary. We are, and if you just talk about just earth also, we know it is temporary from our own experience. We don't need to go very far about that, So, but then he was saying that how, even if you attain Brahmaloka, we saw that, right? Ki Brahmalok tak, the creator, the divine creator, and Swargalok and God knows all these other lokas also, these various planes of consciousness. So you have different experiences in there, and वो भी temporary है, तो उसको बाकी तो छोड़ ही दो. And then, what does it mean by these different lokas? So basically consciousness is one, but it expresses in a different form bolo, different divinity bolo, different brightness bolo, in different lokas and all that. So he gave a very good example about like a light bulb. If suppose I have a dimmer, I can make it totally dark, that bulb, by turning the dial, or I can make it totally bright. So that's how this consciousness expresses. And you can call it, when we talk about human beings or the living sentient beings, the brightness, you can compare it to the purity of mind. Jitna mind pure hoega, utna wo brightness jada hoga. And we know that on this earth itself, we experience different kind of brightness of people, right? About divinity and purity of mind. And then what are the other experiences from the another angle? We know we did Mandukya, that each one experiences waking, dream, and sleep states, in 24 hours. These are also different experiences of that consciousness only. So Bhagavan says in verse 16, we saw that right up to Brahmaloka, all the loka, he used the word punaravarten. You have to come back from there, because they are limited in time. So we saw that what the concept of time was in the last couple of, before whatever verses we did. And then we had calculated the time also. All that is in our Puranas, our Shastras, and, there is a consistency of this time over there. And the 1 day of Brahmaji was 4,320,000 years. And these consist of 4 Chatur Yugas we saw. And that multiplied time 1,000. So that is, and the same is time frame is his night time. So Nikhilananji was saying it is a greatness of our rishis who did all these calculations, and then, the other thing I wanted to bring out over here is, one is like you have this concept of Brahmaji with a beard and forehead and all in the Puranas and all, great. But we also know that these 3 type of things are happening in the cosmos constantly. You can call it creation. Now, creation word is not the best word, but we'll see as we go. Creation, maintenance, and dissolution. So, we have given the creative power the name Brahmaji. So when you personify him, then you can have all these form and all that. But, in Nirakar, maybe you can see that it is happening. and all that creative power is called Brahmaji. So they are talking about the time frame. And then we saw that time scale becomes so much bigger and bigger and bigger, because he was talking about just one day of Brahmaji was that 4,320,000 years time 1,000, and now you have 365 days. So that's 1 year of Brahmaji. And if you calculate that, you're going to multiply that by 365. Mera to sar ghumne lagta. I don't know. All of you may be better at math. And his Ayu is 100 years. And, what I found it very interesting was, in our Shastras, there is a precise time of when we are there right now. But ये नहीं कि कोई ये खाली ऐसे ही calculate कर दिया उन्होंने. According to them, it's a fact. That's how they look at it. So, according to the Shastras, अभी ब्रह्मा जी की आयु 50 साल हुई है. So, हम लोग right smack in the middle हैं उनके life के. Because उनके 100 years है ना, अभी 50वां साल चल रहा है उनका. Very interesting to know that. And now he gave, Nikhilanji gave some more calculations, and maybe you guys will found interesting. I found it very interesting because, we don't have that much capacity to read all the Shastras and all that, but all these Swamis and all, they read a lot more, so they bring out a lot of stuff. So it seems that the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, 3 शक्तियाँ हैं ना, तो हमने ब्रह्मा जी की बात की, तो अब विष्णु जी की बात करते हैं. So 100 years of Brahmaji means one lifetime of Brahmaji is 1 day of Vishnu Bhagwan. हमको लग रहा था अभी तक ये calculation is messing with our mind. Now go further with this. Okay. So 100 years of Brahmaji is 1 day of Vishnu Bhagwan, and in each Brahmand or cosmos has their own Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Okay. And that means एक दिन ऑफ विष्णु जी में ब्रह्मा जी आके भी चले गए. उनका लाइफ ही खत्म हो गया. How much it messes with your mind. And then this Vishnu Bhagwan, like I said, it's only part of one cosmos or one Brahman. You're not talking about Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu ka concept alag hai. Mahavishnu is the one who is of the entire multiverse का जो boss है उसको महाविष्णु बोला गया. ये खाली विष्णु. So just remember that. Okay, not the Supreme Lord. And now, this gets even more interesting. That जो विष्णु जी का 100 years की आयु है, right? विष्णु जी की भी. और जो Lord Shiva है ना, वो जो पलक झपकने में, मतलब उसको निमिष बोलते हैं, 1 निमिष ऑफ लॉर्ड शिवा, जितना टाइम पलक झपकने में लगता है उतनी देर में विष्णु जी का टाइम खत्म हो जाता है. See, it started messing with your mind, right? So, and then, okay, coming back to now, Brahmaji. Now just leave that over there. Maybe you can kind of contemplate upon that. It's like beyond our imagination. Now come back to Brahmaji. एक ब्रह्माजी की लाइफ में पता नहीं कितने सारे इंद्र आके चले गए. स्वर्ग लोक के अधिपति इंद्र, और कितने सारे Manu and Shatrupa are like the first man. And when they say first, it's not the first in the same way like maybe other religion use. वैसा नहीं है वो. It's a cycle. So each time a Manu comes, then he has to go back, and then there is so what they're trying to discuss over here is just the concept of time and the vastness of space, and how many multitudes of lokas there are. And now even science has, agreeing on so many things. We were talking about it, of multiverse and of different lokas and all that. And why we are studying all these things, this is just to realize the flimsiness of this entire cosmos. Okay? And understanding the permanence of that supreme reality. So that contrast we are trying to see. That's why Krishna Bhagwan has mentioned. And what really I was fascinated by is that Bhagavad Gita में सब कुछ cover किया हुआ है. It may not have, Krishna Bhagwan may not have gone in too much detail, but touched upon it. And if you're interested, you can go deeper into it, because all the masala is there in our Shastras. Okay, so why we are talking about this? Because to develop this vairagya in us. That's why these figures are given. And according to Nikhilanjanji, these are all factual figures, not just created by somebody or something. They have their own way of verifying that this is all there. So, the idea is then one day of Brahmaji, according to, going back to our Bhagavad Gita, multitudes of world come into being and exist and are dissolved. That's the conclusion we come up. So this is basically the summary till now. And then let's go to this our verse now. Any question on this time concept? Okay. I guess everybody is okay with it, even though it is sometimes gets very confusing. Okay.
Yeah, although we still don't understand the figures, but I think we are okay with the concept.
I think the mathematician, मेरे को तो वो लिखना भी नहीं आता, वो जब वो 7-8 जीरो के बाद ना मेरा दिमाग घूम जाता है, but जिन्होंने math किया हुआ, like my husband, they will put like this to the power of 10 and all, then that's how they read all these big numbers. So the people who are expert in math, they can handle this. But हम लोग को at least ये idea तो हो गया, हम लोग infinity की बात करते हैं, हम लोग अपना time scale of this universe ही नहीं handle कर पाते हैं. तो फिर तो आगे की क्या बात है. But the good news is all that is still temporary. So what we have to learn, what is permanent. That's what is pointing us towards. But the human mind is very, very curious. And unless we kind of satisfy this little bit, we cannot move forward. कुछ तो हम लोग को समझना पड़ेगा ताकि हमारा मन शांत हो जाए. Okay, now I understood the time scale and all that. Okay, so there is this verse now, verse 18 of chapter 8. Avyaktadyvaktaya sarvaha prabhavantyah ragame ratragame praliyante tatreva vyakta sangyake. Avyaktat. So we're going to learn few other things from the unmanifest, and we're going to see what this unmanifest. We know the word when something is not, presented to our five senses, called unmanifested. Avyaktaya, the manifested. Vyaktaya, sorry. One is avyakta and one is vyakta. So manifest and unmanifest. Sarvaha, all. Prabhavanti, proceed. Prabhavanti means ubhar ke bahar nikal jana. That's what it means. Aha, agame. Aha we had seen, it means daytime. Agame means daytime ka aa jana, when the daytime comes. And then ratri agame, at the coming of the night. So this is also cyclic, exactly like what we have every day, night and day. Praliyante, dissolve. जिसको प्रलय भी यहाँ से ही वर्ड आया, प्रलय. प्रलय हम लोग को कैसे एकदम डरावना सा वर्ड लगता है, राइट? वो प्रलय हो जाएगी एंड ऑल, उन्होंने बड़ा नेगेटिव कर दिया, मगर शास्त्रों में नेगेटिव नहीं है. जो आया वो प्रलय भी होगा, फिर से आएगा वापस. इट्स लाइक द waves of the ocean. We don't cry over when the waves are gone, because another wave comes, like that. It's like that we have to see this word, not negatively. Praliyanti. Tatra is there, ev is verily, avyakta sangyake, in that which is called the unmanifest. So they are talking about, manifest and unmanifest. And in that context, let's see what, there's many important things that, Nikhilanji brings out a lot of different things, and Swamiji has very interesting commentary also. So Vyakta and Avyakta. So this divine creator Brahmaji, when उनका भी day और night हमने देखा, right? उनका calculation बताया गया. So when he goes to sleep, so that means the entire creation goes into unmanifest state. तो ये नहीं कि वो खत्म हो गया, जैसे बीज रूप में चला गया. It has gone in unmanifest. So again, Nikhilanji brought out that science, like with the Big Bang Theory, because they also agree on this same thing, this kind of cyclic thing, that that unmanifest, you can call it singularity. Whoever has studies a little bit of that theory. So in that singularity, there is no space, no time, no matter. Everything is in a seed form. And then, so potentially का seed का भी देखो क्या होता है. Suppose if I take a seed of a mango, seed of the mango तो बहुत बड़ा है, but चलो, everybody loves mango, so we can talk about mango. So खाली seed में वो mango नहीं हम लोग को दिखता है, right? ना उसमें एक mango वाली खुशबू है, ना कुछ है, ना पेड़ है, ना fruit है. मगर potentially there is everything is there. That's how we have to look at it. So, and when the right conditions come, then it reveals the mango in time. ऐसे नहीं कि वो बीज फेंका और 2 मिनट में वो आ गया, no. It takes, so that's why these long periods of times are mentioned and all, because it takes time for it, because so the way you have to look at it, it is lying dormant in it, all this potentiality. And the similarity in the similarly in the cosmos, so which is now it is, we have manifested, we are here, that also goes in the state of dissolution. It is going to go. So how Nikhilananji was explaining that when this creation happens, or manifestation is the right word actually. Now we have learned the word manifestation. Manifestation happens, all these galaxies and all that, they come out, and then when dissolution means it gets crunched to this single point. And so most important thing that we have to learn from this is the whole thing is not disappeared. ऐसा नहीं कि खत्म हो गया means एकदम scratchy हो गया. No. Potentiality is there, and that's what is called that unmanifested form. That is a very important thing that we have to swallow and grasp, because it goes into that and ready to be created again. Okay, so this is what figuratively you can say कि when this dissolution happens, they call it sleep state avastha of Brahmaji. Because we do understand the sleep state from our perspective, what it is, So just like when we sleep, what happens to us, just, imagine itself, imagine kya we experience it. When we go to sleep, we go in unmanifested state, because as far as I'm concerned, subjectively I feel like that, because when I'm totally asleep, fast, deep sleep जिसको बोलते हैं, I don't know myself also. My world and everything, I don't know anything, as though it's gone in this seed form. And then, what is that form? It's beyond all senses, mind and intellect. That's why it's called unmanifest. So there are 2-3 ways you can approach this. So same way, from the cosmic standpoint, Brahmaji's sleep is called unmanifest. And this, it's called, यहाँ पर रात्रि नाम दिया है. And then we know the time frame and all that Chaturyuga times 1000, that's what it is. And then when that time elapses, then it says Sarva Prabhava Aha Aragame. So it's telling you that Avyakta Sarva, that means here when he talks about that all these things come out or manifested, Nikhilananji was mentioning that don't just think of the sentient beings. We are sentient beings, right? We are self-aware and we are, conscious being. But everything, even insentient beings also come out. So not being bolna chahiye, being ko to sentient hi bolte hain. Things come out, variety of things, and then from the this science perspective, you can say all the suns and planets and stars, from the zero singularity that comes out. So ये जो है ना day time of Brahma ji बताया गया, when the manifestation starts happening, say the way he explained was, just like dawn happens when the sun is rising. It's very dark. That could be the sleep state. Then suddenly you start seeing light. So that's how slowly it happens. So it is a different stages of evolution, And if you see the scientific theory of evolution also is very similar. Not that suddenly Brahmaji ne, create kar diya sab kuch. There is a process that happens. That's what they're trying to say. So this is very important, because I'm not sure about the other religions, because some of them say, oh, God created the whole world in 7 days. Maybe, I'm not sure in Christianity. I'm not going to claim that because I have not studied that, but इधर उधर से सुना है मैंने थोड़ा बहुत. Huh? So yeah, Meera ji is shaking her head, so that means that, because she knows more about Christianity. She went to Christian school. So, but our scriptures don't say like that. It is a slow process. And then he was just saying that the same thing, like we were taking the example of, say, some plant, some rose. I plant a rose seed. 1 minute में तो रोज नहीं आ जाता. पहले धीरे धीरे वो प्लांट बड़ा होएगा, फिर वन डे प्लांट भी आ गया, रोज अभी तक नहीं आया, एंड वन डे यू सी द बर्ड, छोटी सी बर्ड, फिर वो धीरे 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 वो फ्लावर बन जाती है. So it's exactly like that it happens, that in this manifestation also same type of process. So at a particular time period in cosmic evolution, beings started coming, and then the human beings also come, and they have the ability to be self-aware. Well, animals also have it, but humans have the highest self-awareness. And then he was just mentioning, because I think Nikhilanand loves science, look like, because he brings a lot of other science stuff and all that. He was just saying that in some other world, they might have a different structure. So, यहाँ पर भी कभी भी एलियंस वगैरह के बारे में बात करते हैं तो वो थोड़ा सा ह्यूमन से अलग ही हट के दिखाएंगे उनको. कभी 3 आँख दिखा देंगे उसको, और ये जो भी है, I don't know. But it's possible that they might have, But also another point he was mentioning, that being self-aware is reaching the like a culmination of creation. That's the kind of highest point. And in that also purity of the mind, of course, and self-realization is the peak. But, in that process, self-awareness is very important. And so, the evolution of consciousness also happens only after we become self-aware. So this whole journey of what the highest state he was talking about, self-awareness, is the key thing. And that also happens at certain point in the creation. Okay. So, and then once it reaches the peak, everything, again, it starts going towards dissolution. Praliyante, So that's the cycle he's talking about. So then he gave a very, very good example about this praliyante. The praliyante also doesn't happen suddenly. Process, धीरे धीरे. It's like, if I want to shut down my computer, he gave this example, तो कैसे मैं shut button किया, so धीरे धीरे सब बंद होने लगता है, एक साथ नहीं हो जाता फट करके, We see, it takes few minutes, right? It goes धीरे 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 करके, and then वो घूमता है ऐसे and फिर बंद हो जाता है. Okay, but now think about it. Just because a computer is shut, it doesn't mean it's dead. Right? Because now we are to look at from the cosmic perspective, right? This unmanifest and all. Because the battery is still there and the clock is still running, which I never thought about. The computer में अगर उसको shut down भी कर दिया, उसकी clock नहीं बंद होती है. Remember he said that there is a time frame also of that unmanifest. See how scientific it is. So it just kind of unmanifest right now. So, and then there are different stages, standby mode, sleeping mode, and then shutdown mode. And then when that certain period is over, some people maybe put it on automatic, I'm not sure. It'll wake up again. Or when I wake it up, creation begins again, the computer wakes up, same way. So he was just saying such a marvelous way. And, this whole concept of, the cyclic concept of where we are coming from, where we are going, it is in a very simplistic, figurative way, is so that people can understand this way it is given in our Shastras, And these are the subtle truths of the cosmos or the reality. And, in a friendly language so everybody can understand. And then there was one more thing he said which was very interesting. Let's see if I... Okay, so the whole conclusion over here is that day and night of Brahmaji is coming up of the whole sansar and manifest and unmanifest. So we did that. Where was that when I wrote? Yeah, one more analogy he gave, which I kind of talked about it, but I'll take it a little further, then it will become more clear about this. He's saying that this is a very, very similar to the rising of the sun. He's saying that, see, when this, he was talking about how slowly it happens, everything. So when the sun come in the morning, say sun is supposed to rise at 6 o'clock, right? तो 5 बजे तो एकदम अंधेरा होगा, हाँ, फिर धीरे धीरे रोशनी आती है, ओके, एंड देन सूरज निकलता है, फिर एकदम से ज़्यादा रोशनी हो जाती है, फिर सूरज चढ़ता है, फिर एक पीक पे पहुंच जाता है, when it is right above our head, सबसे ज़्यादा bright, you know, and then it starts setting, you know, it goes the other way, and then कम होते होते फिर सेट हो जाता है, फिर ट्वाइलाइट आती है, तो एकदम से अंधेरा नहीं होता है, एंड उसके बाद अंधेरा होता है. वैसे ही तुम क्रिएशन को भी सोचो. सो इट रीचेज अ सेंटर पॉइंट एंड देन इट स्टार्ट रिवर्सिंग. सो ही वॉज जस्ट रिमाइंडिंग दैट जब लोग पूजा में हम लोग संकल्प लेते हैं ना, सभी लोग ने पूजा वूजा कभी ना कभी करवाई होगी या बैठे होंगे लेने के लिए, तो उसमें वो लोग एग्जैक्टली बोलते हैं कि हम लोग कहाँ पर है इस टाइम फ्रेम में. हम लोग कभी ध्यान नहीं देते हैं. और देन देर इज अनदर रीजन दैट एक और बात मैं बताना चाहता हूँ विच आई थॉट आई शेयर इट विद ऑल ऑफ यू. दैट्स व्हाट आई वाज कमिंग. मनु के बारे में. ओके, Manu is that first human being in each cycle. Okay, so he's saying that there is another type of calculation there, and when they use in the puja, that because everybody does puja, that's why I thought I'll bring this up, and then we'll know what we are talking about. So according to him, एक ब्रह्मा जी के लाइफ में 14 मनु आते हैं. नहीं सॉरी, एक वन मनु, नो ब्रह्मा जी ना, मेरा भी सर घूम गया अभी. या आई थिंक उनकी एक लाइफ में, करेक्ट, 14 मनु आते हैं. तो दैट मीन्स एक मनु के लाइफ में 71 चतुर्युगास आते हैं. Okay, so when we are talking about that, and then हर एक दिन जो है ना ब्रह्मा जी का, उसका एक नाम होता है, और उसका नाम है ये वाले, उसको कल्प बोलते हैं. हाँ, और ये अपना जो कल्प चल रहा है ना, उसका नाम श्वेत वराह कल्प है. तो कभी पूजा में आप बैठो ना, ध्यान देना कि वो पंडित क्या बोल रहा है. वो बोलेगा श्वेत वराह कल्प, और ये मनु का भी नाम अलग अलग है. उसको हमारे वाले मनु का नाम है वैवस्वत मनु, वैवस्वत मनु और श्वेता वराह कल्प. सो आई डिडंट नो दैट every day of Brahmaji has a different name. So this is called Vaivaswat Manvantari Manu. So exact time they calculate. मैं तो उनको, I mean, when we hear about this, the pranams to them, they know how to calculate this, you know, because we use the Christian calendar for everyday use, but we know the festivals के लिए हमेशा हिंदू calendar use करते हैं. So Hindu calendar is a cosmic calendar, it seems. उसमें सारे नक्षत्र, सन, मून, ये सब आता है. एंड देन ऑल्सो वी हैव whoever has heard about this, कि महाभारत का जो वो लोग टाइमिंग कैलकुलेट करें ना, कैसे है 5000 years, वो भी बड़ा साइंटिफिक है. बिकॉज उसमें महाभारत जिन्होंने पढ़ी है या जानते हैं जो, उसमें उन्होंने पोजिशन ऑफ द स्टार्स बताया है, नक्षत्र, स्टार, ये वो, उसके हिसाब से वो एग्जैक्ट टाइम कैलकुलेट किया कि कितना टाइम बीता है. आई थॉट दैट वाज वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. So this whole thing keeps going on, and then what is our goal now? I know ये सब इसी में फंस जाते हैं. So we have to come out of it this now. Goal is to be free of sansar and enjoy the whole show. Not get sucked into this. Try to understand this and then leave it alone. Because he was just saying that to do this, we have to follow the path what Krishna Bhagwan is saying. We should not forget that. And recognize our own self and our nature. And then he gave one last example, which was very nice one, before we start reading. No, not reading. We have to go to the next verse because they both are together. But the next verse is not that difficult once we understood this. So he was saying that once we become free, what it actually means, then we become a witness of all these things. Don't get sucked into it, And he gave the example of a circus, He said that आजकल सर्कस वर्कस आता नहीं है, इतना देखा नहीं है, बट आई नो हम लोग सब ने देखा होगा, राइट. सर्कस जो बचपन में कितना पॉपुलर था, राइट, सर्कस. तो उसमें बोला कि वो जंगल के राजा को भी गुलाम बना के वहाँ पे बैठाते हैं. वो शेर को भी वो लोग मतलब एक चाबुक से, I still remember, there was this guy who used to do this chabuk, and then the शेर would go from one stool to the other, and और शेर बेचारा बोल रहा है मैं तो जंगल का राजा होता था, यहाँ आके कहाँ फंस गया, गुलाम बन गया. So it's like everybody's bound in that circle. They're doing their act and all the animals, but you are sitting there in the audience eating moongfali and enjoying that show. So he's saying that's how this sansar is. Don't get caught up into it. Just enjoy the show from far. And then, so I thought he gave that fantastic thing. And even in the Western world, we can call it roller coaster. I don't know about all of you, but I sat once on a roller coaster और मैंने भगवान को इतना याद किया और मैंने बोला कि मेरे को आज बचा लो, फिर मैं कभी नहीं बैठूंगी इसमें. I don't know what these people find in it. It was a complete torture. So if you are sitting on a roller coaster, people like us are miserable. But if you are watching it, then you're okay. So just watch the show. So that's what he said. That he came to a very good conclusion. So don't identify with this body, mind, and intellect. Then you become free and sit back and enjoy ये cosmos का show enjoy करो. And that's called Jivan Mukti, freedom while living. So this was verse 18. And we'll go to 19, some explanation, and then we'll read. Any question or comment? Today is a very small class. So if you have anything, it's a good time. Okay, I guess everybody's happy and satisfied with these big numbers. Okay, so we'll go to the next verse.
Example is very good though.
What's that?
भगवान याद करता है.
Sorry, क्या बोला आपने?
मैंने कहा वो रोलर कोस्टर वाला एग्जांपल आपने बहुत बढ़िया दी. उसको उस समय भगवान को सबसे ज्यादा याद करना पड़ता है.
I know, and so all of you identify with how I felt, huh? None of you are roller coaster type then. Right?
No, I've been on a few of those rides, so I know exactly how scared you get, and your blood really sucks out of your face. Looks almost dark,
I know, and जो लोग बैठते भी है ना, जो लोग बोलते हैं हाँ I'm enjoying, वो भी चीखे मार रहे होते हैं. जोर जोर
And
से.
I like the way you tied that back to the lesson that we are learning कि अगर आप उसको बस वॉच कर रहे हैं साइड में खड़े होके, कई दफा हमारे बच्चे वगैरह बैठ जाते हैं, हम साइड में खड़े होते हैं, हमें बड़ा मजा आता है.
Exactly.
Right? तो वैसे ही है कि मतलब don't get involved. I like the example very much.
Good. So
Umaji, I exactly felt like what you are saying. One time, long time ago, it was hanging upside down.
I know.
What stupidity I am doing. I'm not enjoying. Why am I sitting in here? That's it.
उन दिनों में वो Six Flags करके नाम होता था, Six Flags, right? तो उसी में मेरी अमेरिकन फ्रेंड बनी थी, वो ले गई and oh let's go and I didn't know कि क्या है ये रोलर. I mean you just come to India 20 years old and you don't know what it is. So मैं भी बड़े enthusiasm से बैठी. उसके बाद तो बाप रे, उसके बाद आज तक नहीं बैठी हूँ मैं. छोटे वाले में भी नहीं बैठी हूँ. I don't even sit on that Ferris wheel anymore. When you are a little kid, it's fine. Abhi, our grandson, sometimes I take him to the jhula and here, in the park, they have one jhula where you can sit also. The baby sits and then you have one adult seat and you can swing together. उसमें भी मैं 2 मिनट से ज़्यादा नहीं बैठ पाती, मेरा तो सर चकना लगता है. This is old age or something. Younger age. And he is like whole time, higher, Dadi ji sit. So it's like not my cup of tea. So, okay. So next verse. भूतग्रामस एवायं भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वशपार्थ प्रभवत्यहरागमे. भूतग्राम, मल्टीट्यूड्स ऑफ बीइंग, जितने भी क्रीचर्स हैं, जो भी हैं सारे, पूरे कॉस्मोस में, खाली हम लोग अर्थ में नहीं, पूरे कॉस्मोस में. सह, दैट, एव, वेरिली, अयम, दिस, भूत्वा, being born again and again, praliyate, dissolves. Again, this pralaya word, we should not take it negatively. It's a cycle. Ratri agame, at the coming of night, Avashaha. Now this is going to be a very important word. Helplessly. On one hand, Krishna Bhagavan did say that helplessly, but if you don't follow his path, we become helpless. But if you follow his path, you can become free. So helplessly is, said to give the gravity of the situation, that if you don't do something about it, you will be sitting there in this chakra. Punarpi Jananam, Punarpi Maranam. Partha, O Partha, son of Partha. Prabhavati comes forth. Again, Prabhavati means ubhar ke aana. Aha agame, at the coming of the day. So aha and ratri, aho ratri of. So just all these words now we learned. So, what is this word bhutagrama over here? All beings. And there is a word, aapne suna hoga, sthavar and jangham. Sthavar and jangham means unmoving and moving things. So, the whole cosmos, the whole universe, there are a variety of multitude of things. And then, as I was saying that, even Nikhilanand was bringing this out, that he's talking about other solar systems or other stars, sabhi ko mila ke. Because when that is the beauty of our Shastra, it doesn't only talk about Earth, talk about the whole cosmos. And then there are countless expressions from that perspective. And then he was just saying that even on the earth itself, scientifically speaking, so many of the species get extinct, right? On one hand, we are very, very concerned, and maybe we should be, because sometimes we cause their extinction and we don't want to do that. But even if you leave the nature totally alone, this is a cycle that happens. Old ones get extinct, new ones are coming, and thousands and thousands and millions over the years, God knows. It's a very dynamic life. That's what he was trying to bring. They're constantly modifying, changing, expressing in various ways. And then how does this whole, there is another aspect, these materials come from this nature, from the world, So, like on this earth, जो भी material available है अपना, उससे हमारा शरीर बना है और वो हमको ज़रूरत होती है. Like H2O, water, and oxygen or whatever, So he's saying some other planet, there might be some other thing. And the unke creature ko wo chahiye hoga. And मैंने सुना है कि Earth पे भी there are different creatures, we take different things. So जो bacteria होते हैं, वो लोग कुछ और ही लेते हैं, जो भी है, So खाली this is to bring out the different expressions of this. Because scientists are constantly trying to find out about that too. So, but the key thing is every expression of life is from that consciousness only, So he was just saying that you can call it that we are like this spot of light, a kiran bolna chahiye, expressing in a particular body. Okay. But the beauty is each one of us have our own individuality. That nobody can deny. अभी यहाँ पर हम लोग 8 लोग बैठे हैं और सबकी अलग अलग पर्सनालिटी है, लेकिन हमारा जो एसेंस है वो सेम ही है. एंड देन दिस डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सनालिटी कैसे होती है कि बिकॉज वी हैव आवर ओन थॉट्स, आवर ओन इमोशंस, आवर ओन संस्कार्स, and we carry from our past and all that. And then he gave everybody will identify this with this example that he gave. He talked about snowflakes. हमने सुना है ना कि snowflakes कभी भी 2 एक जैसे नहीं होते हैं, ये साइंटिफिक फैक्ट है कि एक जैसे नहीं होते हैं. Millions of snowflakes fall, पता नहीं trillions, and every year it falls, but each one is unique. How amazing. And even I was thinking about human beings. Each one, there are 7 billion, between 7 and 8 billion people on this earth right now. और पता नहीं कितने आए और कितने आएंगे. सभी की एक पर्सनालिटी एक ही होती है. कैसे माइंड बॉगलिंग. और चेहरा भी सबका सिमिलर हो सकता है मगर सेम नहीं है. See, the variety is just incredible. So this is how the consciousness expresses with variety. Each expression is unique and it has its own beauty and own speciality also. Okay. And what is it? The same personality is born again and again. That's what this verse is emphasizing on, verse 19. So you can say that it is re-emphasizing the reincarnation part of it. Because बोल रहे हैं कि reincarnation होता है या नहीं होता है. Here's the proof. Krishna Bhagavan is mentioning that the same, physically death होती है, it dies and again it's born, the cycle continues. Because the word bhutva, again and again it means, same beings. In the previous kalp, they were there and then they are dissolved and then again. So, because who are these jivas which keep coming again and again? The ones who have not attained the self-realization or not liberated. So that you have to remember. Once you get liberated, then you don't have to come. But if you don't, then chakkar is going to be chalu. So, so here in this verse 19 is saying, during the day of Brahmaji, millions of times we keep coming and going within that daytime also. And when Brahmaji goes to sleep, the whole cosmos and everything for a long period of time goes into unmanifest, And again, when he wakes up, chalu rehta, non-stop. And I think the best example of non-stop that we can relate to is you go and stand at the ocean, and look at the waves. Non-stop. और पता नहीं हम लोग के पैदा होने के पहले वो ओशन था और उसमें अभी तक चालू है और रात को भी कभी वो थकता नहीं है, So, or you can say the rising of the sun and setting. It's the same sun, but the same sun comes out again. So he was just saying that from that perspective, we have come millions of times. Millions. Because remember the time scale, okay? It's just mind-boggling. So, but we have come in different forms. And not necessarily human beings also. We have been, तभी बोलते हैं ना कि हम लोग सब कुछ बन चुके हैं यहाँ तक पहुंचने के पहले. खाली लास्ट फ्यू लाइव्स में ह्यूमन बीइंग, उसके पहले तो पता नहीं क्या क्या रहे होंगे, हर एक जानवर, हर एक ही है. It's kind of hard to imagine, but that's the fact. And the other word over here is avashaha, helplessly, die and born again. So he was just saying that the people who say, hey, I don't believe in rebirth, I don't believe in reincarnation, उनके लिए उन्होंने कुछ few points bola that they need to contemplate upon, and maybe they might change their mind, I don't know. The law of physics also. What does the law of physics say? Without a cause there cannot be effect. If you are seeing something, उसके पीछे कुछ कारण है, right? So if we are experiencing certain things in our lives right now, there has to be a cause for it. Because, in some of the other religions who don't believe in reincarnation, it is very strange that, did God have he's just sitting on one chair and he threw this different cards. Tera ye life hoegi, teri ye life hoegi, teri ye. Don't make any sense at all. But here there is a cause for it. So even at the subtlest level, all the experiences that we have in our body and mind and intellect, uska bhi cause hota hai. Because if we perform certain action, also we know that certain results we don't get right away. Certain result immediately pata chal jata hai. Hey, I did this and I got this. Others are more subtle effects. And Krishna Bhagwan ne already bola na ki karmon ki gati bahut gahan hai. Not everybody can understand. So we don't have the result yet. Does that mean that it's disappeared? No. You will get that result in the future. Because the cause is there, so effect will be there. So that's very important. And so that's why we have come to the conclusion that this life is caused by my previous life. And my current life will become the cause for the future life. Very simple, scientific fact. Okay? So logically, we come to that conclusion, that we have had previous lives and we will have more lives. And then he also said that some people have different experiences, and we know that some people remember now their previous life. So that's another proof. Because, this idea of reincarnation, जब पहली बार सोचो ना तो हमेशा doubt होता है. मैंने तो देखा नहीं, I don't know. But, there are ways that we can think about it and, kind of come to the same conclusion the Shastras have come about. And then he was talking about scriptures talk about it. Because reincarnation is like the foundation of all our Eastern philosophy. So we can't ignore it. And then the great realized masters talk about it, he was saying. And then some yogis consciously remember their previous lives also, including Buddha. He talked about, whoever knows about Buddhism, I think he talked about his 100 lives he remembered. So all these are the proof, So the scripture is saying it's a cycle. And so we don't have a concept of a linear type of thing, that it was created at a certain time and it will end. No, it's a cycle. So we don't even know when it came about. Why? Because, he was just saying that the word creation is a problem. So that's why we don't use that word that much. We call it projection. From the consciousness is projected, That's how we have to look at it. And then, he gave again the seed ka example, which we saw, that the entire tree is in the subtle form is there, unmanifest form. And when the right thing comes, it takes the material from the world and becomes a tree, So the same way the entire cosmos is in unmanifest form. In the divine creator, when he goes to sleep, it is in an unmanifest form. And then when he wakes up, again, same beings come out. तो उनकी जो वासना, उनका जो टेंडेंसी है वो वापस आ जाती है. Okay. So then what is the whole idea? That we should try to attain that imperishable. That's the whole idea. So we should not forget our goal. And that, what is imperishable, he's going to talk about in the next verse. So these two are the one he talked about, day and night of Brahmaji, unmanifest and manifest. No, but yeah, abhi 10 minutes baki hai. We can start reading a little bit. Any question though on this cycle? Not too many people talk about this from Bhagavad Gita, right? Whenever we hear, it's more about other things. But see, it's how everything is covered here. Because if we don't talk about these things, हमारे मन में बहुत सवाल होते हैं इसके बारे में. कब दुनिया आई, कैसे आई, क्या हुआ, क्या नहीं,
Maji, one question.
Sure.
When you are reborn, the only thing that changes from your previous life is your vasanas. Is that correct?
Say that again. I'm sorry. When you are?
When you are reborn, reincarnated, the only thing that changes is your vasanas. Isn't it?
So I think that it is, I don't know exactly what context you are saying. I would say that you are born with the vasanas. Because vasanas...
Yeah, but the vasanas, now you are reborn with different vasanas because of what you did in your previous life, isn't it?
Yes. So basically, जो इन्होंने word use किया ना, avashah, वो vasanas की वजह से है. I'll give you an example, what I'm trying to say, and see, I'm not exactly sure what you mean. But vasna उसको बोलते हैं. Vasna, firstly, where the word is coming from is, vas is like gandh. तो जैसे हवा कोई क्या बोलते हैं, फ्रेग्रेंट चीज के पास से जाती है तो वो फ्रेग्रेंट पिक कर लेती है, वही अच्छी वाली. कोई गटर के पास से जाएगी तो दुर्गंध कर लेगी. तो वो गंध जो है ना, सुगंध भी हो सकती है, दुर्गंध भी हो सकती है. But हवा picks up, right? So वैसे ही जीवात्मा from its own previous life जो हमारी थी, उसमें से ना impressions pick कर लिए, right? और अभी when I am born with that impression.
Yes.
So that's why I behave in a certain way. Like some people like pizza and some people like Indian food and all. It's because of those vasanas from the previous life. Or some people like music and some people like sport. Some have inclination toward engineering. So it's a vasanas ki wajah se hai. So these certain vasanas have no problem. You can use them. See, the whole idea is to not get sucked into the vasanas, because you can multiply them more and you'll never get out of the chakkar. So when we come to the chapter of gunas, Krishna Bhagavan is going to say you become gunatit and use your vasanas as a tool to come out of this chakkar. And how do you come out of this chakkar? So what he said, whatever your vasana is, make that your job in the world. Suppose if I like finance a lot, then take up a job as a finance. No problem about that. Because when you do that job conducive to your vasana, you will be a happier person. And a happier person will have a balanced mind. And balanced mind will ask question, who am I? Where am I coming from? You will get inclined towards spirituality. So that's the path he wants you to take. Use your vasanas to get out of this chakkar. So in that context, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And you can, of course, change your vasanas, especially the negative ones. It's like if somebody has alcoholic problem. The poor guy is avashah, means helplessly he's getting drawn, but he realizes, hey, he's a human being, right? So does contemplation, higher wisdom, that this is destructive to my thing, then he as a human being has the capacity to change his vasana.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think you meant. Because see, the animals don't have the capacity to change their vasanas. Very, very little. This is a scientific fact. A dog will be a meat eater, no matter what. Chahe tum unko, if you give him vegetarian, you can make him into a vegetarian, but if you ever put a meat in him, he will eat it because that's his nature. Or a lion, you cannot make him vegetarian. Or cow, you cannot make him a non-veg, a cow. So they are, उनकी वासनाज are बंधी हुई होती है बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग. हमारी वासना हम अपने इंटेलेक्ट से हटा सकते हैं, फ्रॉम हायर विजडम एंड ऑल दैट.
जो आपने एग्जांपल दिया ना एक अकाउंटेंट का, so if his tendency is to go into accounting, he can do cheating in accounting, or he can do the accounting the right way it should be done.
True. Absolutely. So now that depends on, his understanding.
Right.
Because, like on one hand, मेरे को बड़ा आश्चर्य होता है कि इंडिया में ना वैसे तो सबको भगवत गीता के बारे में मालूम है और कर्म करो और ये है वो है. बाकी जो लोग चीटिंग वीटिंग करते हैं उन लोग सोचते नहीं होंगे कि मेरे को इसका फल मिलेगा. Right? 2 मिनट के लिए भूल जाते हैं कि क्या करते हैं. नहीं तो हमारे शास्त्रों में तो इट्स लाइक मिलेगा ही मिलेगा, अभी नहीं तो अगले जन्म में मिलेगा. चलो क्रिश्चियन तो बोलेगा कि एक ही लाइफ है तो मजा करो उसके बाद, बट उनको भी डर लगता है कि फिर हम लोग हेल में वहीं बैठे रहेंगे. हम लोग को कम से कम it's a two like a double-edged sword. Both the philosophies have double-edged.
सबसे ज्यादा परेशानी होती है कि when somebody has more than everybody else, why does he want even more?
Because I think वो कभी चिंतन नहीं करता. अगर वो सोचना शुरू कर देना कि मैं क्या करूंगा इसका, तब उसको अकल आएगी. तभी as we get older and older, then some people who don't wake up before, then they wake up. Then suddenly, oh my God, So that's why the satsang is necessary, I think. Because if you don't do it, we forget about all these facts of life. Yeah. So I think we will read next time because already time up ho gaya hai. But if anybody else has any comment or question from what we are doing.
Just to comment, 84 लाख योनियों के बाद मानव शरीर मिलता है.
हाँ.
तो है ना, तो इसीलिए कहते हैं कि मानव शरीर बहुत दुर्बल है, मतलब बहुत
दुर्लभ,
डिफिकल्टी से मिलता है.
Yes.
हाँ. तो बिकॉज 84 लाख योनियों में भटकने के बाद आपको मानव शरीर मिलता है, और उसका वही फायदा है कि आप अपने आप को मोक्ष की तरफ ले जा सकते हैं. तो कहते हैं इसलिए वेस्ट नहीं करना चाहिए.
एब्सोल्युटली. एंड जो हमारा जो स्वर्ग का कॉन्सेप्ट है ना, वो भी दूसरे रिलीजन से काफी डिफरेंट है. बिकॉज उनके लिए दैट इज द गोल कि भाई स्वर्ग में चले जाए. हमारे में बोलते हैं नहीं ये तो टेम्पररी वेकेशन है, यहाँ से वहां पर क्या, जब तुम्हारा बैंक अकाउंट खत्म हो जाएगा तब तुमको फिर से इधर फेंक देंगे. तो फिर हमको झक मार के ह्यूमन ही बनना पड़ेगा और मोक्ष यहीं से मिलेगा. या फिर वो धीरे धीरे ब्रह्मा जी के लोक में जाओ, वहां पर हमको ब्रह्म ज्ञान लेना पड़ेगा. लाइक आवर टीचर यूज्ड टू से वहां ब्रह्मा जी सिखाएंगे, तो अभी चांस मिला अभी कर लो. So true. We kind of, it tells you the urgency of it then, that you have a chance, don't miss it. That's what it is. True. Okay, let's do the closing prayer for Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.